Okay, hi, my name's Kevin Murphy. I'm one of the Directors of Curriculum and Attainment at Dundee and Angus College, and I chair the Essential Skills and Volunteering Network at CDN. The session that I had today was looking at the Statement of Ambition, and we asked a number of questions. We asked 3 questions to the groups on the Statement of Ambition. The first question was based around how we can actually push the SEQF level up a level. So, and one of the things that the feedback was the issue was to hear from employers. So to hear it firsthand from staff and students. And there was a whole discussion round about staff buy-in, the recruitment of staff, and then continual CPD. And one of the other things was changing the way we deliver. So looking at project-based learning. And for students who have reached a level of SEQF level 5, say, then there needs to be some option sets, and the option sets are to allow the students to enhance and develop their learning as they go on. And one of the other things was focusing on more of a joint partnership with the schools, so we can use the developing young workforce to hear how the employers are interacting with the schools, and also from the schools what essential skills they're teaching in the school, so we can rectify it and build on that as we move forward in FE. One question that came up is, do SQA need to look at the unit content, and does that need to be refreshed so that we can focus a lot more on what these essential skills are rather than on qualifications? The second section that we looked at was how do we get buy-in from staff, students at all levels. So from the part-time lecturer right up to the chair of the board. And the first thing, again, that came forward was that employer voice. So that's actually heard directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So from staff and students will hear this directly from employers. The other thing that came up was the language of essential skills. And can we then introduce a mandatory online essential skills training for all staff across the sector? And as chair of the Essential Skills Forum, that's something that I'm going to take back to the group so that we can explore. And there were a few other things: better partnership working between curriculum and essential skills team, ensuring that the essential skills department is highlighted in all areas so that we develop that right across the curriculum. And we had a lot of debates around qualifications against developing the skill set and so on. So hopefully you'll work with us in trying to improve the essential skills across the sector, and thanks very much.
Hello, my name's Margaret Tierney. I'm a policy manager at SQA, and I look after skills, essential skills, core skills, skills for learning life and work, literacy, numeracy, corporate parenting, and other sort of stretchy bits of my remit in the qualifications team. Part of my role is to listen to colleges, to support colleges in the development of core and other essential skills for their learners, particularly in relation to the qualifications that SQA develops. I was doing a workshop this morning which looked at the research from the thematic review in core and other essential skills, and I took out 5 key questions. So basically I wasn't talking very much, it was all the people that attended the workshop that were doing the work, and we collected all their comments. So the first question was about the dissonance between the principles and the practice in delivering and assessing core and other essential skills, and how do you make sure that that dissonance disappears so that everybody, absolutely everybody, buys in the college sector. So we spent 5 minutes on that. Everything was really, really quick. The second one was about the movement from the I suppose the CPD approach to delivering essential skills and away from assessment. So things that it's naturally occurring, it's part of your everyday college experience, including employability, to do that. And the third one was about the focus on collaborative and interpersonal skills for problem solving that the world's really looking for now in terms of employability. That created a lot of discussion. Place was buzzing at that point, saying, oh, well, how are we going to do that? Lots and lots of good examples came from the tables there. Another one that we looked at was the move away from a sort of mechanical approach to ICT to a more discerning, holistic approach in digital skills, given that technology is moving on at a really, really fast pace and is part of everyday life now. So how do we make sure that that is part of the college experience, not just in computing, but across the piece? And the last one, which I suppose is linked to that in some way and people were excited about, is what is communication in the 21st century? What does it look like? And how are we going to make sure that we equip our learners and our staff with the skills that they're going to need? So those were the 5 areas that we talked about in small groups, and we've harvested all the comments which you'll see on the CDN website.
Hi, I'm John Laird. I work with Education Scotland and I was leading the team who did the report around employability in Scotland's colleges. And there are a few key messages I think that are useful for the sector from the work that we did. We looked at students' preparedness for the next stage in employment or employability. So we looked specifically around employment or self-employment. And there were a few things that we learned that I think are useful to the sector that you may want to reflect on. The first is that students, when they come to college, have a long-term view that they want to find a job they like and a job that they will thrive in. But the focus in reality is often on achieving a qualification. And what we need to do in the qualification system, in the experience they have in colleges, is really to think more about the qualifications as part of preparation for employment. We need to make sure that students have enough guidance when they're at college to know how to apply for work, what type of work to apply for. And we don't do that particularly well. Often guidance within colleges is on staying on course and succeeding on that course. The other thing that we need to focus on is to make sure that the attributes, the personal skills, appear quite clearly as part of the teaching and the college experience. So employers tell us in various ways and consistently they want young people who can communicate well, who can work in teams, and who can learn to do new things. So the way that we teach needs to encourage that. And not only encourage it, we want students to reflect on it and say, when you go to an interview, when you're speaking to an employer, talk about leading the team, talk about doing independent research, talk about the presentations you've done within the class, the presentations you've done to others. So we need to build into our experience at the college, whether it's through formal teaching, whether it's through voluntary activity for the students, whether it's through work placement, and work placement's an excellent way to develop these skills. We need to ensure they're better prepared for that next stage. We also found in many areas very little information, very little support available to students that wanted self-employment, either immediately or quite soon after. And there are many students in plumbing, hairdressing and other areas for where self-employment would be a sensible and positive route. And we find that there are occasional projects and occasional areas where there's a focus on this. So organisations like Bridge to Business will work with some students, but as a rule, there's quite a gap there. And if you think how strongly we support students who want to go to university, we tell them about UCAS, we help them with the personal statements, we get references, we remind them of dates. There's a raft of things. If a student wants to be self-employed, there are relatively few opportunities to give them the advice, the support and the help to move that forward. And we have to be thinking about where our students go and making sure that if self-employment is likely to be the route, then we give them enough course experience, enough information, enough contacts to move forward with that quite confidently. The key to success in improving the quality of what we do around employability is to try and track enough students to know how long did it take them to find work? Did they find the type of work they wanted? Once students are in work, on reflection, how could we have helped them more? And one thing we would encourage colleges to do is to track a number of former students and talk to them about how their college experience could have better prepared them. and they'll get very good ideas from the students themselves about things that they found difficult, whether they struggled to interview, whether they struggled to get interviews, whether they had difficulty explaining the skills that they had. Those are the kinds of things that you'll get in feedback that will help you develop and improve the quality of the programme so that you're building employability. Looking at the wider picture, if you look at Canadian colleges, American colleges, they talk about the average time to find work, they talk about the average salary of students, they don't talk about the number who passed a qualification. And to an extent, we need to build that into our quality system, because that's what the student really wants out of the college experience, is to find a job that they like, to find it fairly quickly, to get a salary that they would expect, and to thrive in the work. And really, these are the types of things we need to build into our improvement to make sure the student has a really good college experience. On the Education Scotland website, you'll find the full report, and I hope you find it useful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sharon Drysdale from Scottish Funding Council. My role is Head of Skills for the Funding Council. I'm also an Outcome Agreement Manager and cover Lanarkshire, Highlands and Islands and Open University. So it's quite a broad scope. But in predominantly the skills element is why I'm here today. At the CDN event today, I was discussing the work placement standards, which were launched in September of this year. The work placement standards were developed with a number of colleagues, a number of stakeholders, but very importantly with college representatives who are informed and working with students with workplace experience in the colleges. Having launched them in September, we now need more help, and today was more about an awareness raising to let delegates know what was happening, where they are, and what we would require of them moving forward. Within that, it was interesting to find in the sessions today that the majority hadn't seen the work placement standards. That's okay. However, going forward, they all said that they thought it was a very good idea and that they would utilise them. But we're looking for more help and support on this. We've got a group together, a specialist group, who are going to develop a toolkit that will help students, colleges, to be able to implement some of the guidance that's there. For that, we've asked all the people today to send us some of their innovative practice that they're doing. And also, having sent us that innovative practice, what else they need from us to help with that challenge of getting more students into placement. And also, changing the culture in colleges from not just thinking about placement opportunities, but thinking about the experiences that are embedded in their course that make students far more employable. Our group will help to develop some of that toolkit and will hopefully help to share the good practice that exists in the colleges that they're very poor at letting everybody know about and telling what we're doing that's very good.